Welcome, everyone, to WagerTalk Today, the best sports betting show on the planet. I'm Andy, filling in once again the Prez, who's having success at the poker tournament. It's a good thing. We're rooting for him. He's made it, I believe, inside the top 40, so I was looking for a big cash today. We got a lot to get to on the show. First, we're going to talk to Gianni, and yes, I read some of your comments. We'll start off with Gianni, and we'll get him to talk about some of the syndicates and what they're betting today. Listen, you guys, the audience, you drive the show, so just let me know what you guys want us to talk about. We will. We'll talk about another topic I'm interested to get his thoughts on. Marco D'Angelo is going to be here. He's going to break down a couple of NBA games. Yes, there are still NBA games in the regular season. Tokyo Brandon, I don't know if anybody does MLB better than Tokyo Brandon. He'll break down a couple baseball games. And then Andrew Babakitis from Westgate will be talking some UFC. But first, we got to bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Gianni The Greek. Gianni, some people were saying, listen, we want to hear what the syndicates are betting. What are they on? What do they like today? Let's give the people what they want. What do they like today?
Yeah, it was a decent night yesterday, too. So one play only in NHL, and that was fired on this morning. Montreal, all the way down from plus 145, 140, 135, plus 130. So Montreal in the NHL. Rarely haven't seen much NHL. That usually picks up a lot when the playoffs come. NBA also. 5-12, Indiana last night. Bet the overnight night at -7 and 7.5. Then followed through this morning, laying the 8 as well. Those are the ones you want to pay attention to. Also, the under in that same game. Bet it under 219 and 218 last night. Then again, came back this morning all the way down to under 216.5. So a lot of under action there. Also, 516 Detroit looking to pick off plus 5.5. That's the number that they're looking for. Any 5.5 that pops up, they're taking it. I had a little trouble finding it myself. Found it like 2 or 3 credit shops, but that was about it with nickel limits. Another one that with follow through, 532 Utah last night, plus 11, plus 10.5. Took the 10 again this morning. And the same thing with Golden State, laid 12.5 and 13 last night, and then 13.5 this morning and backed off. In Major League Baseball, early this morning, Miami plus 110, Miami plus 105, Miami all the way down to even money. So at even money or better, they think this one is coin flip at worst. So if you can get plus money, Miami seems to be the side. 956 St. Louis Cardinals plus 120 and plus 115 last night. Came in this morning and took the plus 110 out and also took down to even money. Another one where coin flip at worst. Another dog, betting the dogs today, 963. This was last night. Kansas City at plus 130 and plus 125. Came back this morning, took the plus 120, took the plus 115. Those are usually the ones historically that do the best. Not the big dogs. I mean, they do well, the plus 180s, plus 200s. And even the big favorites have tended to do really well. But it's those mid-range dogs where that favorite that's around that between that minus 135 to minus 155 range, usually overpriced. A lot of times it's a home team that's getting more home field advantage baked into the price than they're actually worth. We talked about it a lot, that only one team's going to win 60 games this year. That's going to be the LA Dodgers. Every other division winner is going to win between 56 and 59% of their games. So that's what they're looking to take advantage of. Those teams that are favored up to around that 155 range that shouldn't be in a position where your break even is winning 62, 65% out of every 100 to turn a profit. That's the sweet spot. Also, I gave you St. Louis, I gave you Miami, gave you St. Louis, gave you Kansas City. All three of those fall into the sweet spot. Also, a favorite, 976. Last night, Tampa Bay, minus 115. Tampa Bay, minus 120. This morning, minus 125, minus 130. Rarely do I see that happen on the favorite side, where they go from a minus 115 all the way to a minus 130. Like the implied win probability increases tremendously in those lower money lines. Like the difference between a minus 300 and a minus 350 is this small. But difference between a minus 110 and a minus 160, the implied win probability difference is huge as compared to when you get up over that, minus 200, minus 300 range. And then one total that really stuck out was the over 8.5 let me see, 975. Who was 975? Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Yeah, because it opened at 8. No one I know was able to bet the over 8. That was probably the first book that went to market, bet the over 8. They went to 8.5 immediately at -115. We bet it. We bet it again at -120. And last night, late, took even money to go over 9. Remember, rarely will they do that. We talked about that since the beginning of the season. Get on the right side of 7s, 9s, and 11s. And that's what they're usually picking off the night befores. But yet they came back today and actually laid some VIG -105 to go over 9. Again, very rarely do I ever see that happen. But it did happen with Atlanta and Tampa Bay. So that's the one total that sticks out. There's 4 sides for you. Some NBA. I caution you with NBA, unless you have like odds logic and you're able to get those injury reports or, who's sitting. That's what they're taking advantage of late in NBA. And if you go over to my Twitter, you just click the link. There's no obligation. You get a free 30 days so you can see what I'm talking about. Even if you don't, bet enough to where it's worth it for you to pay for a line service and you use the WagerTalk 5-minute delayed one, that's for free, which is amazing. Like, again, most bettors, that's more than enough for them. But for the more serious guys that are actually using it as an investment vehicle, highly recommend take advantage of the free 30 days. I don't get anything from it. I just hooked it up with Rick because I use it and turned on some of the guys that I work with back in Philly because I shared my login and password with them, but he kicks me off. So I'm like, dude, just spend the money and get it. Like, it's going to pay for itself. Like, what are you guys doing? You guys bet fucking 5 dimes a game and you're trying to get free login and password. That's like my millionaire friend that wants my Netflix password. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, take advantage of the free 30 days. It's on my Twitter. All you got to do is click that link.
For us, it was ESPN Plus. That was the one we got in arguments about. It's like, you're only allowed 3 guys to watch the UFC.
And I'm like, I asked my girl, I'm like, what are you watching? Like, I see the Prime and I see Netflix and I'm like, dude, this isn't stuff. Like, neither of us watch anime. Like, well, how did anime now become my top choices? And then I realized, oh my God, I gave the password to like one of my friends back in Philly. And it's like, he has more money than I do. And
oh my gosh!
Going to pay the $15 a month. Maybe that's why
Gianni The Greek. There was 2 topics I really wanted to pick your brain on. I love how you brought up the Dodgers are going to be the only really good team to win that 60%. So be careful if you've got these teams that are over that 60%. I wanted to ask, is that just a blind bet? If you get a team that's all of a sudden won 64, 65%, is it just automatic fade? We know they're going back to the regression. And do you have a number for bad teams? I always tell people,
love the question. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've talked about that in the past a lot. The difference between being in first place and being in last place is usually within 5 to 10% winning percentage. Like, there is that event, that bottom dweller. Like last year, the Angels won 38, 39% of their games. But usually what ends up happening between first place and last place is usually less than 10%. It's a lot of divisions are even closer than that. Like, and again, Miami had a terrible year and they were expected to have a terrible year. But when you look at most of the divisions, like perfect example, Milwaukee won the division last year, the Central, winning 57% of their games. Pittsburgh at the bottom won 47% of their games. That's 10% difference. That's a difference of, 15 games over or under 500. That's usually the difference. So absolutely. Now there will be that bad team that has like a Miami type season, which, is going to win 35% of their games. But more time than not, they're all around that 50% range, between like 45 and 55. And the difference between winning the division or finishing 3rd or 4th is usually, within 5 percentage points. It just scroll back through last year's standings and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And even between like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, those are usually very close, like within 5 percentage points. So that's definitely, this is the sport that I say, that's why I always talk about most sharp bettors, the betting syndicates. If they had to choose, if they could only bet one sport, it's going to be baseball. because of the fact you have so many opportunities every single day, and it's a long season and they all play 162 games. But more importantly, you could actually trust the data. Like, you have the law of big numbers working in your favor, where in college football, NFL, you expect the team to regress. You expect the team to progress. And a lot of times there's just not enough time for that to happen. How many times do we talk about when they're at the 12th game or the 13th, 14th game of the season, and everyone's like, oh, this is the worst 12-2 team on paper. Like, on paper, they shouldn't be a 12-2 team. This team's regressing. But there's not enough time for that regression to take place. So a lot of times it doesn't happen. In baseball, it will happen. Those teams that came out now that are winning 70, 80, 90% of their games, that's unsustainable. It's just like a hot capper, a hot sports bettor, that over a 50 bet sample size, they're 35 and 15. But if you expect them to be able to win 35 out of every 50 games, laying 110 over and over and over again, you lost your damn mind. That's unsustainable. And it's the same thing with these Major League Baseball teams. When teams come out as hot as some of them have been, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but you look for spots to regress, for them to regress, because you have the perfect storm. You have the sports books knowing they're getting money because they're winning every night in cash and parlays. So they're going to add a premium to it. But then you have the law of big numbers working for you as well. The math, where they're going to regress. That's a fact. They're not going to sustain that win percentage. So you have the perfect storm to find value. And I'm not talking about fading them every single day, but you have to look for spots to fade them. Don't be afraid to fade the minus 200 favorite. They're not going to win 2 out of 3 games. That's not going to happen, where they keep winning 2 out of 3 games. And that's the break even if you're laying minus 200. And most want to feel more comfortable betting that minus 200. They feel like, okay, minus 200 should win. That's what the market's telling us. Yeah, they should win 2 out of 3 times, but they're not going to be able to do that. They're going to win maybe 60% of their games if they're the elite. So you already have almost a built-in edge more times than not. Don't be afraid to bet those dogs. I promise you, even if it don't go well in the beginning, it will in the long run. As long as you manage your risk correctly, you'll make money doing that. And the same thing with betting bad teams. Don't be afraid to bet those bad teams that look awful, because they're not going to win at a 20% rate. It doesn't happen. Go back the last 10 years and look through the standings. I don't think you're going to find one single team that only won 25% of their regular season games. It just doesn't happen. So that's a great opportunity. I'm glad you brought that up, Andy, because those like, you don't have to be a phenomenal data guy. You don't have to be create algorithms or anything like that. You just have to use common sense and figure the team's overvalued because the sportsbook are getting hammered with them every single day. So they're going to add a premium. And number 2, I have the math in my favor. The law of big numbers will eventually come into play. That's like the simplest handicap. And yet, like, you could find some huge edges that no algorithm's going to kick out for you every single day. That's for sure.
Yeah, Justin in the chat says, I love when Gianni gets on these rolls. Yeah, sometimes you just let Gianni cook. Sometimes you just no, there's no. Keep going. This is just valuable information. Gianni, I know we got Steam Room coming up with a bunch of topics. I believe that is at 3:00, correct? Free. Everybody join us. Come on in, join the party. Yeah, we're going to talk blackjack. We're going to talk Major League Baseball. We're going to talk NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs that are on the way. And more importantly, the UFC card on Saturday night. Big pay-per-view card. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, and I got to ask you one more thing before you get out of here, Johnny. You brought something up, and I was a guest on the show. I wasn't hosting, so I didn't get to pick your brain. Juice tolerance. I have told people my bankroll changed overnight once I became okay with laying bigger numbers. I feel like as bettors, a lot of times we're told, well, you can't lay more than minus 130 or minus 135. And now I do it all the time, and especially the player props market. What's the opinion? What's the take on juice tolerance? For me, I'm okay with it now.
Thank you. Those are the misconceptions that we need to talk about. I know everybody likes picks, and that's what usually gets the most views on social media. But the picks become irrelevant if you don't know how to use them. So we don't talk enough about money management and bet sizing correctly. That's key. Because again, I'm a perfect example. I had access to the best information, and I managed to lose bankroll after bankroll after bankroll after bankroll when I first came out here because I didn't know how to manage that information. But more importantly, the misconception of not laying juice is the most foolish thing I've ever heard in my life. The only thing that matters is what is the true implied win probability compared to what the betting line is, what the market thinks. If it's off, you bet it. If you think that a fighter A has a 90% chance of winning, like I had Bo Nickel on my podcast, and for his Contender Series fight, I told him you opened up at minus 1,200. You went to minus 1,800. You went to minus 2,200. You went to minus 2,400. I kept telling him, this is what the implied win probability is. Where should I have backed off? Dude, my man got to 99%. And he said, I knew when I felt him, as soon as I touched him, I knew he poses zero threat to me. I could do whatever I want to this guy. The only way I would lose that fight is if I lost it. Like if I hurt myself. He couldn't hurt me. There was absolutely nothing he could do to beat me. I'm not saying there's those opportunities out there, where you think something's 100%, but I'm comfortable laying minus 400 every single day. In fact, I hope I could lay minus 400 every single day and find a spot where it's going to win 85% of the time. I know my break even's 80%. I have that 5% implied win probability edge. I'm going to print money over and over and over and over again. The difference is when you lay that kind of chalk, though, the margin of error is very small. You can't be wrong a lot or it's going to eat into your bankroll. So for guys that don't understand implied win probability and aren't as seasoned, yes, I would recommend don't go laying those minus thousands chalk, because if you can't tell me what you think the true price should be, kind of like if you don't know what every half point is worth, don't buy it. It's the same thing with laying that kind of chalk. If you don't know what the price should be compared to what it is, then don't lay it, because it will devour your bankroll. But once you know how to sports bet, you need to look for those opportunities. In fact, I used to call it the suitcase guys. They would wait for boxing back in the day when the Mirage would take the biggest bets. And about 30 minutes before the fight, they would walk in and unload suitcases of cash, dude. They would run it through money machines. And I was asking this one guy, why do you lay that kind of price, like minus 800, minus 1,000, like 20 minutes before the fight? The guy says, in what world am I going to make 10% ROI in about 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Like, are you kidding me? That's all that matters is the ROI, your return on your investment. So if you think something should be, 75% win rate and you could lay minus 200, dude, you bet that all day. Every single day you look for that bet. Don't be afraid to lay chalk. Just make sure that you know what you're doing. Because again, the margin for error is a lot smaller because it'll eat at your bankroll a lot quicker, than flat betting dogs. That's just the obvious. But that nonsense that sharps don't lay more than 150 in baseball. I saw them laying minus 220s, 260s, close to 300s a lot of times in baseball. So don't think that doesn't happen. It's not the squares just laying that chalk. So don't be afraid to do it. Just do it with caution, like anything else.
Yeah, the only thing I will add to that is if you're out there and you're thinking about, okay, I'll try and lay a little bit more juice, make sure you track your plays and know your win percentage has to go up. If you're laying minus 110, 57%. My average bet is probably minus 130, minus 145. So I know I need to be at 58%. I need to be at 59%. So that's why you track all your plays and make sure you're hitting at the right rate. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the best thing you can do. I talk about it through the blackjack class. You have to keep records. I'm not telling you to write down what hands you won and lost, but at the end of the session, you write down the hours you played and the money you won or lost. After you played enough hours, you already know how many average hands you average per hour. You do the math and you find out whether you actually have an edge or you don't. If you're not keeping records, it's, again, everybody on gambling Twitter's up and the casinos are just getting buried. But if you're actually keeping your records, you'd find out the exact opposite, that most their results aren't going to produce a profit. So you got to prove it to yourself. And the best way to do that is being honest and actually keeping good records. That's a really good point.
No, nobody does it better. Gianni, tell everyone what you have up at WagerTalk and remind everybody about the Steam Room again.
Yeah, make sure you swing by the Steam Room today. We're going to be there at noon Pacific. So that's 3 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to go for probably 90 minutes, maybe even 2 hours, and cover all those sports I talked about, even talk some blackjack, because we're now through 3 classes. And Johnny hooked up a special where people could still get the first 3 videos. And the UFC card tomorrow, already have a 5%. Don't want to keep talking about the record on those. And got about 5 bets in there already, I believe. Major League Baseball card will be up within the next 60 minutes. Isolated at 4%. Yesterday I had one and then I passed. I didn't release anything. I said, this year I have one goal, December 31st to be in that 0.5% that actually turned the profit. That's the only goal I have. So if our goals are aligned, you won't be disappointed. If you need to pay your rent this month, you're probably better off looking for a game of the year.
Love it, Gianni. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Good luck on all your plays, brother. Appreciate
Thank
you always.
Brother. You too, man. I hope you crush that UFC card tomorrow.
We're going to do our best. Absolutely. Yeah. 5% UFC bet is up for clients. We're 8-1 on 5% plays. Number one in MMA profits in 2025. The year is off to a fantastic start. You can take advantage of that. We also have our NHL best bet that is up 14-5 run to close out the end of the regular season. The end of the regular season has just been amazing for NHL and NBA. I'm really sad to see it go. I hope just to have a fraction of the success in the playoffs. But 3 straight NHL winners, and if you want a 7-day pass, that is still available. Instant discount down to $69. Get you all plays, including that 5% UFC play. UFC plays $35 on its own. No reason to just get that play. Go grab the 7-day pass, and you can see what we're capable of. Let's bring in Marco D'Angelo. He's got an amazing play that he's going to tell us about a little bit later, but we're going to talk a couple NBA games. Listen, it's the nature of the beast at the end of the NBA season. So, Marco, you got the difficult task of breaking down the Cavs and the Knicks and the Rockets and the Lakers. Let's start with the Rockets and the Lakers. At least we know one of these teams is going to be playing really, really hard. You got a double-digit spread. How do you see this game going down?
Well, obviously, you alluded to it. The game means nothing for Houston because they're locked into the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. The Lakers, they're in that tight battle. Currently, they're the number 3 seed in the West. They do control their own destiny, so they can take care of business. They don't have to worry about what anybody else has to do because they are the front runner for the number 3 seed. You look at this Houston team, and, it was a fun night on Wednesday night. I had the Clippers. We got down early in the day. We got a great number on the Clippers, and then we just continued to watch that line go. I wish as fast as my stock would go up. The line just kept going, and it still wasn't enough. They lost 134 to 117. Play anybody tonight, that's, again, one of those game time decisions. But even if they don't, they played the backups exclusively on Wednesday. So you've got to figure those guys are going to be better tonight because they finally got some action on Wednesday. They also got to hang out in LA for 2 days. They didn't have to move. They played the Clippers. And then throw in not only the horrible schedule that the Lakers had, that was a pretty meaningful game for more reasons than one the other night on Wednesday. It was the return to Dallas for Luka, and you can't tell me he wasn't sky high for that game. Look at the numbers he put up. The Lakers made sure to feed him the basketball. So that had to make Luka feel all warm and fuzzy, the love he got from the fans, and the fact that he got to stick it to management with a big game. Yeah, the Lakers are going to win tonight. But this line is just too high, in my opinion. You're paying a tariff for the name the Lakers. You're paying a tariff for the must-win factor for the Lakers. Houston's going to be there. They're going to play well. I think this is a game where the Lakers win. And you know what? Once they get the win, this isn't like, college basketball or whatever, or polls where you're looking for style points. All you got to do is win, get in, and get out. Give me Houston plus the inflated number tonight is the only way I can play this game.
Love it, Marco D'Angelo breaking down the Rockets and Lakers. If everyone could please stop what you're doing and hit the like button. That's all we ask. Just hit the like button. Marco, we're almost there. We're creeping up on 200,000 subscribers. I was hoping we were going to get there by this weekend. We need a big push. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, help us out. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could be the 200,000th subscriber? How about that? How fun would that be? So, Marco, listen, it's pretty hard to beat perfect. You have a 5% NBA best bet. I don't know how much more promotion I can do. What are you, 10-0 on these major wager plays? Tell us about that.
Yeah, Andy, you know that my style, I don't release a lot of plays. If you're an action junkie, I'm not the handicapper for you. Generally, we're going to have 2 to 4 plays per day. And when it comes to big plays, those are even more rare. I'm 10-0 on NBA 5% major wager plays. That goes back to March 31st of 2021. I've only had 10 of them over 4+ seasons, but we've won every single one of them. I have one of those tonight. I love the situation that we got. I've got angles to back it. I've got situational stuff. It's in every perfect storm. So I am stepping out with a 5% major wager tonight. If you want to join me in the NBA, for me, has been fantastic. We are WagerTalk's #1 NBA handicapper in Money One. We've made our clients over 180 units over the last 4+ seasons. And like I said, those 5% is a perfect 10-0. Let's get number 11 tonight. Head over. You can pick it up for $35. But you know what? Why buy the one play for $35? $4 more. You can get a one-day all-access pass and pick up all of my plays for $39. That's the best way to go. Or, buy a long-term package, all access. The bigger the package, the more you save. You know how that works at WagerTalk. And we're heading into my favorite time of the season, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. Why is that the favorite time of the year? Well, you know what? Everybody's going to play every night. That's the fun part of the playoffs. You don't have to guess who's going to be in the lineup. I never have to hear my 2 least favorite words, load management.
You're the one I'm chasing in NBA. I've been number 2 and number 3 the entire season, and I could never get to that number spot. So it's you. I don't know why I didn't ask. For this entire season who I was chasing. Congratulations to you, though. Marco, let's talk a little bit with the Cavs and the Knicks. Obviously, this is probably not a game we're going to make a big wager on, but just talk us through this game here a little bit. 2 big-name teams.
Well, obviously, Cleveland, they locked down the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference the other night. So they've got nothing to play for. And they rested players when they played last night. And both teams played last night. Both teams, New York got the win last night. They lost in Detroit, mixing up the 2 teams who they were playing. But New York does have something to play for. They can lock down the 3 seed. They're most likely going to be the 3 seed, but a win tonight clinches that for them. It is their last game at home. And I think this is one of those games where it's also a little bit of, you want to give yourself a little bit of confidence going into the playoffs, because even though they are the #3 seed this year, Andy, they haven't fared well when they've stepped up in class, and they're 0-3 against the Cavs. So if you want to say a little bit of a statement game, okay. But again, because of the situation in the Cavs, openly saying, resting players and so forth, you're paying a tariff if you want to play the Knicks. So how do we go about this game? Well, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to look at a total, and I'm going to look at the total for the first half. And if I keep saying Indiana in this one. Cleveland played the other team last night. But the Knicks, if they come out smoking and have a little bit of intensity because they want to prove a point, that's going to be from the onset. And if you're going to actually try in the NBA, where you try and where the effort comes from is on the defensive side of the court. So what I'm looking at is a first half under in this game. We know that, NBA totals have been inflated all year simply because nobody wants to play defense, and these teams have been scoring ridiculous numbers. But I think this is one where, because of the players that are going to be on the court, when they're going to be on the court, if Cleveland does play starters, anybody of significance in this game, you'll see them in the first half, and then you won't see them. So I'm going to look for a first half under. In theory, this is a great play for what I'm thinking, but I also got data to support it. The Knicks, as I said, they're 0-3 against Cleveland. Well, the Knicks, when they've played at home this season in a revenge situation, 15 times it's happened. They're 13 out of 15 games in the first half they've gone under the total. When the Knicks have played a step-up game, a team with a winning record, first half totals, unders, 15 of 20 times. So with my theory of how I think this game's going to play out, the data to back it with the trends for this season, only one way to go. And we're looking at 111 for that first half total. Let's go under Cleveland in New York. And then you know what? I don't care who sits in the second half.
Yeah, right. Margo, leave it to you to find an incredible angle on a game that one team like truly does not absolutely care about. So remind everybody about this 5% play. It's a stat too good to ignore. 10-0 on your 5% NBA major wagers.
Yeah, just head over to my homepage at WagerTalk. Shortcut is WTBuzz /MD. You can pick up the play for 35. You can pick up all the plays today for 39. And guys, we are winning right now with all of our plays last 7 days, 13-7. I'll take 65%. Anytime you want to dish those out. So head on over, jump on while we are hot, and got that big play tonight.
Absolutely. Good luck on your 5% play. Those are always really, really special and important to us. So thank you so much, Marco Giangelo. Shout out to the chat. Love seeing you guys. Titans, Lake Show, Distance, Sean Alvarez. I see you in there. Wait, why is Dan Alexander in there? He's supposed to be producing the show. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk to Tokyo Brandon here and break down some MLB games. And we're going to talk to Andrew Babakitis about UFC. I'm going to run my violence parlay through Andrew Babakitis and see if he agrees to it. So this week's violence parlay, we're gonna run by a real professional bookmaker and see if he's on board. In the meantime, though, let's talk to Tokyo Brandon. We're gonna break down a couple of baseball games. Tokyo, what is shaking, my man? Colorful as always. You wear that with such confidence. I could never do that. So shout out to you. We got 2 games to break down. Let's start with the Giants and the Yankees. Yankees, they're about as public as it gets. Giants 9-3 this season, lost 2 of 3. Yankees lost 3 of 4, though. How do you see this game, the Giants and the Yankees?
Yeah, what's up, Andy? Nice to be here. I have a 5% play today as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
Nice.
What I love about baseball and what I loved about being a scout in Major League Baseball was baseball is the ultimate one-on-one sport. At any time, it's one guy pitching against one batter. So it's a one-on-one sport. That's what I love about baseball because the data is so important, especially the one-on-one data. So let's talk about the Giants and the Yankees. The Giants are playing a little above their heads. I expected the Yankees to have a little drop off, losing Soto this year, and they're not dropping off. So these are 2 teams that are kind of on a high right now. So let's take a look at who's pitching against who. We got Robbie Ray going against the Yankees for the Giants. Career-wise, he's had really good stats against the Yankees, a 184 batting average against. So it's pretty good. But Robbie Ray, often injured, used to be a real strikeout guy. He's not striking people out this year. So I expect him to come down a little bit. And then we got Marcus Stroman going against the Giants, who are playing a little over their heads right now. Marcus Stroman, not real good stats against the Giants in his career, a 263 average against, but both of them are around the 720 OPS against. It comes down to bullpens, I think, and the Yankees bullpen is a little bit better. We got 2 starting pitchers who are ranked towards the bottom. Yankees have the better hitting and the Yankees have the better bullpen. So I would actually go with the Yankees in this one. Not a huge confidence play, but maybe a small 1 or 2% play there. Yankees on the money line is the way I would look at this one.
Love it. You already mentioned that you got a 5% best bet that's up. I mean, you crush baseball. Like your good years in just baseball would be great years for most normal handicappers. So tell us about that 5% play that you have up.
Yeah, I have a 5% play, and it's in Major League Baseball, and it's one that I really like, and that's available at my page. Like you said, last year in MLB, I was plus 150 units just last year to finish number 1 in MLB. I finished number 1 in all sports profit last year, plus 180 units. So this year I'm in the plus. I think I'm overall at WagerTalk. I think I'm in 6th place or something right now, but I'll make a run. Don't worry. It's a long season. I've been number 1 3 of the last 4 years at WagerTalk. So yeah, I'll make a run. I'll be in the top 3 by the end of the year. We'll see. And you'll probably be there too, because I'm
not worried. Yeah, you'll end up at the top at some point.
You're having a great year though. So I don't know. Have to catch you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a 5% play out today. And also WagerTalk has a special for me. You can get 3 days for $39 using the code TB3. That's on my page at WagerTalk. So 5% play is 35, but you can get 3 days for 39. Probably a better deal. And you can get all my 5% plays that I put out within those 3 days. So it's probably a good deal. Probably a good guy to ride with.
Yeah, and if you guys have flex picks, which if you haven't experimented with the flex picks, absolutely look into the flex picks. Someone like Tokyo Brandon or Marco, when they have these 5% plays up, it's the perfect time to use those flex picks. So if you're sitting on those flex picks, you get a discount when you buy in bulk, and then you get to pick your handicapper based on the day. So maybe you want Marco's 5% play. Maybe you want Tokyo's 5% play. Maybe you want my 5% play tomorrow. Take advantage of the flex picks. Call it your picks, your way. A lot of really good value in there. You get to pick your handicapper. You get to pick your sport. So you get to focus in on what handicapper specializes in that sport. So Tokyo Brandon with his 5% play. Tokyo, let's talk a little bit about Phillies and the Cardinals. The Phillies have been rotating wins and losses the last 6 games. Cardinals on a bit of a slide, 2-6. I believe it's Aaron Nola for the Phillies, and I believe his name is pronounced Palante for the Cardinals. I looked that up. How do you see the Phillies and the Cardinals going down?
That is correct. Yeah, we got Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is a guy who the books like to overrate. He is a good pitcher, but he's not as good as the books think he is. And Andre Palante is one of those up-and-coming guys who scouts drool about, but hasn't really performed to his potential. So, again, I always like the one-on-one matchups. And ever since I was a scout, I like to take starting pitchers and curve them on a scale of 30 so I can compare them to the bullpens and the batting. St. Louis is in better form as far as hitting is concerned. Both bullpens are kind of trashy right now, but starting pitchers, Aaron Nola's got a little bit of an advantage over Andre Palante there. And if you take a look at the one-on-one matchups, Andre Palante has been absolutely torched by these Philadelphia batters. 36 at-bats against. He has a 417 average against. I look at 700 on the OPS as kind of the Mendoza line, and he has a 1003 OPS against. So these Philly batters have hammered him hard. Aaron Nola against the St. Louis Cardinals in his career, fairly good numbers, 207 against, 592 OPS. Handled the St. Louis batters better than Palante has handled these Philly batters. So a couple ways I would go here. You could take the Phillies on the team total over, or you could take the Phillies on the money line, but their bullpen is real trash. So I'm not sure if I would trust that bullpen to hold a lead at the end of the game. They're absolutely horrible. Phillies team total, I think, would be a safe way to take on this one.
Love it. Love it. You can get a 5% play from Tokyo Brandon, number 1 in baseball and number 1 in 3 out of the last 4 years. So, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck on your 5% play. Yeah, like we said, we know how important the 5% plays are to our handicappers and to our clients in particular. So, good luck. Go, everyone, and check out that 5% play. Again, we got one more guest. Quick free play here on the Masters. Tony Finau, look at playing his over 72.5 on his second round score. He tees off here in about an hour from now. Conditions are going to get hard. Wind is going to get up to about 22 to 27 miles an hour. So the early morning guys today had a big advantage. Tony Finau was +3 yesterday. The pin locations are a little bit more difficult. The more wind they get, the faster those greens are going to dry out, which means the speed is going to be insane. Putting is going to be next to impossible later this afternoon. And Tony Finau shot +3 yesterday. So I struggled to see how he's going to shoot 3 shots better today. So I'll take Tony Finau over 72.5 round 2 of the Masters. And if we got Andrew Babakitis here, Andrew, first off, did I say your name correct?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, that's perfect pronunciation.
Well, we cheated because Gianni told me how. Yeah, I cheated. Gianni told me how to
clarify for us. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. All right, Andrew. So every week I come on here and I do either a violence parlay or a peaceful parlay. It's 2 fights that are not going to go the distance or 2 fights that will go the distance. You parlay them together for plus money. I'm going to run my violence parlay by you this week. I got the Tresean Gore and Marco Tulio Silva fight to not go the distance. I think this is pretty simple. You got Tresean Gore, a ton of injuries. He's fought like once in the past couple years. And you got Tulio, who, listen, he can nuke just about anybody. I think if it gets on the ground, Gore's got a chance at a submission. If it's on the feet, I think it's only a matter of time before Silva knocks him out. So I have that one to not go the distance. And then I got Krylov and Reyes to not go the distance. 5 straight fights for Reyes haven't gone the distance. Krylov is a wild card, man. Like, nobody knows what this guy's been up to. Nobody knows what he's been doing. I almost forgot about him. Like, when I saw he was fighting, I was like, oh my God, Krylov is still around. Yeah. I think both these guys are coming in for the finish. I get even money on this one, maybe minus 105 at one of the domestics. What do you think? Gore and Tulio not go the distance, Krylov and Reyes not go the distance.
Yeah, so the Gore-Tulio fight, we do have some information on that one. We did take a respected bet on the under 1.5. So, I mean, that sounds like you're on the right side there. I mean, fight not to go to the distance. Even money between those two seems like a pretty strong play. Not too much action so far on the Reyes versus Krylov fight total, but yeah, still plenty of time for that one. I'm sure with the uncertainty of what Krylov is going to look like, maybe that's why there hasn't been too much action on that total.
I can't wait to see what he looks like either. There's literally, I was talking with Kyle yesterday. There's literally a guy that there was a rumor he was killed in the war. It was like, oh, nope, he's fighting UFC. Turns out not bad. How's the main event look for you guys? Volkanovski and Lopez.
That one, actually, that's been a real easy one for us to book, man. So early on, we were taking a lot of big action on Lopez or Lopes. The price kind of shot down all the way to a pick'em. We opened up Volkanovski at minus 160. So the line did shift pretty aggressively at first. Like I said, all the way down to minus 110 on both sides. But then we did start getting some respected money buyback on Volkanovski from minus 110, minus 120. And now we're back sitting at minus 140. So this has really been easy one to book and balance the books. A great main event, I would say.
Nice. And then co-main, much action coming in on this one, or is this one of those pay-per-views where everyone's focusing on the on just the main event?
Yeah, I'd say between the Patty fight and the Silva and Mitchell fight, there's been a lot of handle between those two fights as well. It seems like people are very interested in those ones. The Patty fight's interesting. We opened that one up at a straight pick, minus 110 both sides. That early action was coming in on that Patty side. Got as high as minus 160. We did get some Chandler. Within the last few days, there's been some heavy Chandler money at that plus 120, plus 130. So this is another one, man, where the price is pretty close to a pick, and it's been pleasant to book because it's real easy to get that Chandler money and that Patty money.
I got one more fight to ask about, and then I want your opinion on one of your favorite bets. How is the Pitbull fight? I find this really polarizing because UFC is bringing in Pico, it looks like. So some of these Bellator guys are coming over, and now you're seeing like Jake Hadley, who's fighting on PFL tonight. You get these fighters that are kind of moving. And so how do you book it when you get a Bellator guy making his debut here in UFC?
Yeah, really the thing that we try to do is, I talk with the guys who are strong in the UFC, the guys who, handicap the UFC. We kind of put our opinions together, and then it's nice to have a backing by sharp customers. So really, we're not putting too much opinion in. A lot of the prices are being shifted by, the action that's coming through the window. So on that fight, I'll be completely honest. The action has not been what I hoped it was going to be, because I think it's a real fun fight for fight fans who have been waiting for Patricio Pitbull to come to the UFC for so long. I know maybe people are uncertain what he's going to look like against like a caliber fighter like Yair. But the price has really just ping-ponged from minus 190 to minus 210. Solid action on both sides. Nothing too respected, though, honestly, on that fight.
No, that's disappointing. I had high expectations. This was going to be a really well bet on fight. All right, best bet. What's Andrew Babakitis' favorite bet on the card?
I would say I'll talk about the Mitchell fight first. I wouldn't say this is necessarily my favorite one to bet, but the most information has been on a lot of handle and information on this fight. So we opened up Silva at minus 320. A lot of sharp action early on that Bryce Mitchell side. So you could have early on got plus 260, and the price has just been plummeting ever since. Silva's now sitting at minus $2. The last couple days around that $2 range, Silva has been getting a lot of bets, but that early sharp money was on Mitchell, and that's good for the book because we're going to need one of those plus 200 dogs to come in and cash for us. So I'd say that's been my favorite one to kind of keep an eye on this week for sure.
Nice. You gonna be watching the fights live somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. I've been waiting for a great card like this from top to bottom. This is a stat card.
Yeah, after some clunkers, man, it's hard to poke many holes in this one. So, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. If you're in Vegas, go check them out at the Westgate. They're all great people, great sports book. It's a great place to watch sports and get your bets down. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to talk to you again next week, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is going to do it. Hope we got you set for the weekend. Don't forget, Marco D'Angelo is a 5% play up. Don't forget, Gianni The Greek's Steam Room is here in a couple hours. Tokyo Branded has his 5% best bet that is up. I have a 5% UFC best bet that is up. Take advantage of all of these over at WagerTalk.com. If you haven't hit the like button, please do that now. And if you haven't subscribed, tell a friend. Sign in on a YouTube account that you haven't used in a while. Get us to that 200,000 subscriber mark. I know you guys can do it. I'd love to open up the show Monday with, hey, we made it, 200,000 subscribers. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for the chat. Leave us a comment. Good luck on all your plays this weekend, and we'll see everyone Monday.